Have you ever felt like you're investing time and energy into someone who only remembers you when her life is falling apart? Yeah, it feels like you're not a partner, let alone a priority. You've become her emotional power bank. And you know what's worse? Some people do this on purpose and even have the nerve to call it love. Love, my friend, only if we're talking about self-love. Hers, of course. But enough with the illusions. I'm here to wake you up with a sledgehammer. I'm going to show you the 5 unmistakable signs that you're just her walking ego booster. No guessing, no assumptions, just the raw and beautiful truth. If at least 2 of these signs hit home for you, I'm sorry, but it's time to wake up. Now, a heads up. Don't come here to play the victim or blame bad luck. The first step to getting out of this mess is understanding the dynamics. And look, the truth might be bitter, but it's the medicine you need. Are you going to face it or run away? Stay tuned, because you deserve to know the unfiltered truth. And above all, you deserve someone who wants you for who you are, not for being their free therapist. Oh, and before we dive in, remember this video only reached you because someone had the decency to like and subscribe. So, do your part, like, subscribe, drop a thanks in the comments, and help this content reach more people who need a good wake-up call. It's not for me, it's for the system. Now, enough chit-chat. Let's get to the point. Let's get real. Reality is harsh, but there's no escaping it. When we're emotionally involved, our vision gets blurry, and we start confusing crumbs for a feast. You think you're building something solid, but in reality, you're being used as an emotional rug. And no, this isn't drama or paranoia. It's a pattern far more common than we'd like to admit. Let me break down the mechanics of this nonsense. Some people, out of pure insecurity or blatant selfishness, don't want a real relationship. What they want is someone available who feeds their ego, validates their existence, and is always there, like a well-trained puppy. Sound familiar? Here's the crucial point. While you're spending energy, attention, and genuine feelings, the other person is just sucking all that up to boost their own self-esteem. Love? Not even close. This is convenience with a touch of cheap manipulation. And worse, you're just a disposable piece in her little game because the goal is always to maintain control and come out on top. If this sounds heavy, congratulations for waking up, because it is heavy. But hang on, there's a silver lining. The problem isn't you. It's not because you're inadequate, incapable, or any other excuse your mind invents to sabotage you. It's because you had the bad luck of crossing paths with someone emotionally unavailable or, frankly, who doesn't value you at all. And now comes the question that separates the strong from the complacent. How do you know if you're in a real relationship or just a stepping stone for someone else's ego? That's where the signs come into play. Each one is a piece of the puzzle, and when you put them all together, the final picture is painfully obvious. So, stay sharp. This isn't about pointing fingers or diving into victim drama. It's about facing reality, understanding what's happening, and most importantly, making a decision. Are you going to continue in this draining cycle, or are you going to take control of your life? Now, without further ado, let's move on to the first sign. If this has happened to you, it's time to wake up. Sign 1. She only reaches out when she's down. Let's get straight to the point. If she only remembers you when her life is a mess, congratulations. You've become the classic, convenient shoulder to cry on. It's more common than you think. When everything's going well, you're practically a ghost. But when her job tanks, friends argue, or insecurity strikes, there comes the standard message, "Hey, how are you?" Or the infamous, "I need a little help." And it's no surprise. You get sucked back into her orbit, like the emotional satellite she knows you are. But here's the kicker. It's not to check on you. The focus is always on her dramas, crises, inner chaos. You try to steer the conversation towards your side, and what happens? Either she dodges the topic or ends the chat as soon as she gets what she wants. And when her storm passes, poof! You're invisible again. Want a translation of this dynamic? It's like she's screaming without words. You're only useful when I'm stuck in the mud. When I'm good, you're irrelevant. cruel. Yes, true. Also, and the craziest part, you're actively participating in this ridiculous dance. Every time you agree to be her lifeguard, you reinforce that it's okay for her to treat you as a last resort. It's not love. It's not a connection. It's pure and simple opportunism. Now don't get it twisted. Everyone needs support during tough times, but the difference is simple. In a reciprocal relationship, she'd reach out to you during the good times too. In opportunism, you're only remembered when the ship is sinking. Got the difference? If you identified with this, ask yourself the crucial question. When her life was smooth sailing, where were you? If the answer is off the radar, I'm sorry, but it's time for the realization to hit. And worse, sometimes she doesn't even realize she's doing this. But relax, the next sign will make her intentions even more blatant. Let's move on. Sign 2. She compliments you just to keep you close. Ah, compliments. That thing everyone loves to hear, but in the wrong hands, it becomes the perfect manipulation tool. Let's be real. Who doesn't like hearing, "You're amazing," or "Wow, you're so different from others"? The problem arises when it sounds faker than a $3 bill. Here's how it works. Out of nowhere, she pops up with a sweet compliment, throws some charm your way, and disappears. It's the classic emotional bait and switch. She gives you just enough to make you feel special, but never enough for you to take it seriously. It's like putting an emotional muzzle on a horse. You're not going anywhere, but you're also not moving forward with her. Want an example? You go days or weeks without talking. Then, like magic, a message arrives. "You're so special. I don't know what I'd do without you." And you? Foolishly and desperately, you think this time she's genuinely interested. Spoiler. The next day she vanishes as if she never sent anything. Now pay attention to the pattern. Compliments without consistent actions are a red flag the size of a stadium. If she truly values you, it goes beyond pretty words. It's evident in her actions, her presence, how she treats you all the time, not just when it suits her. In reality, do you know what she's saying with this little act? I don't want you to leave, but I also don't want to give you what you truly deserve. Unfair? Absolutely. But it's exactly what's happening. So, the rule is clear. Words without actions are worth less than nothing. Someone who truly values you doesn't need validation tricks. She shows it. Period. And hey, if you're already finding this unbearable, hang in there. The next sign is the peak of frustration. Let's go. Sign 3. She gets annoyed when you pay attention to someone else. Ah, we've reached the classic emotional manipulation staple, convenient jealousy. You know how it works. For weeks, months, or however long, she acts like you're as important as a piece of furniture in the house. But the moment you start paying attention to someone, be it a new friend, a crush, or even your great aunt, she suddenly becomes the most interested person in the universe. There she comes, in full drama queen mode. Wow, you barely talk to me anymore, huh? Or, even better, who's this person liking all your photos? Don't be fooled, my friend. This isn't about feelings. It's about territory. She doesn't want you, but she also doesn't want anyone else wanting you. The classic dog that barks at the bone but doesn't bite. Want a practical example? You post a photo with friends, or dare I say it, with someone of the opposite sex, and like magic, she slides into your DMs with a random conversation, or worse, a complaint. It's her way of reminding you, "Hey, you're my emotional toy. Don't leave the shelf without my permission." And here's the grossest part. If she truly had genuine interest, why does jealousy only surface when you pay attention to someone else? The answer is simple. The problem isn't you, it's her ego. She doesn't want to lose you because you're important, but because losing control over you makes her feel less powerful. Now, the danger of this nonsense. You get stuck in a vicious cycle. She gets annoyed, you try to appease her, give her attention again, and boom, she disappears once more, knowing she still has you in the palm of her hand. Until the next episode of Convenient Jealousy. If this is happening to you, stop being the puppet of this fifth-rate puppeteer. This isn't love, affection, or anything close to it. It's control, and honestly, the only way out is deciding that you're nobody's doormat. Want to flip the script? Start setting boundaries. Want respect? Demand it. Because as long as you keep giving stage time to this repeated act, the show won't stop. And spoiler, you'll always be the side character in her story. Choose to be the protagonist of your own life. And if you're fed up with being the fool she makes a doormat out of, accepting any crumbs and still being tossed aside like garbage when she sees fit, then wake up. It's time to stop swallowing disrespect and flip this dirty game. Head over to the description and grab the digital book I left for you. After reading it, you'll learn to be a real challenge. Never bow your head again and put any woman in her place without mercy. Sign 4. Your achievements don't matter as long as you remain available. This is a low blow that hurts the soul. Your victories are completely irrelevant as long as you stay there, like an endless source of attention and support. It works like this. You're thrilled about an achievement, a promotion, an amazing project, or even a personal breakthrough. Excited, you rush to tell her. And what happens? Nothing. Maybe a "oh, that's cool" delivered with the same enthusiasm as someone reading the weather forecast, followed by a topic change so abrupt you don't even notice the switch. And you know why? Because to her, what you do or achieve doesn't matter. What matters is the role you play in her life, being available, listening, validating, and serving as emotional support. Beyond that, you're practically invisible. Want a classic example? You're trying to share how you closed a big deal or finally overcame a personal challenge, and she cuts you off with something like, "Wow, but you have no idea how tough my day was." And like magic, the conversation shifts back to her, because anything that doesn't involve her glorious self is simply irrelevant. And the worst part? She doesn't even realize the absurdity. Or maybe she does, but she doesn't care. Because to her, you're not a partner with a rich and accomplished life. You're a disposable emotional resource. And let's face it, achievements aren't expected from a resource. Just availability. Now, here comes the bitter truth. When you start growing, standing out, or, God forbid, investing more in yourself, she might begin to see you as a threat. Because the more you shine, the harder it is for her to keep you tangled in her cheap manipulation web. So, take a moment for self-reflection. How does she react when you're on top? If the answer is coldness, indifference, or any attempt to divert the focus away from you, it's time to remove her from your life. And if you're already finding this an emotional circus, wait for the 5th sign. Because that's when she lays all her cards on the table and shows that, deep down, she never wanted anything serious. Sign 5. She disappears when you start demanding something more serious. The grand finale of the emotional manipulation saga. This is the blow that exposes everything. The moment you finally realize that love, it never was. Connection, only in your head. She was there for comfort, and that's all. Here's how it works. After investing a long time with energy, patience, and maybe even hopes, you decide it's time to lay all your cards on the table. You talk about commitment, future plans, or at least try to understand what the heck you're building together. And what does she do? Disappears. Vanishes. Like a ghost, but without even the charm of a horror movie. Suddenly, she's too busy. She barely has time to respond, cancels meetups with lame excuses, and the cherry on top sends that classic, "I think I need some time to think." Yes, the famous time to think, which translated means, "I don't want to give you what you deserve, but I also don't want to say it straight to your face." And you know what the naked truth is? She never planned anything serious. From the start, you were just a filler for her emotional gaps, a comfortable pastime, an emotional support. But commitment, planning, building something real, that was never on her radar. The worst part, she might still try to blame you. "Oh, but you're pressuring me," or "I'm not ready for that right now." Classic. But honestly, it's just her way of disguising the obvious. She doesn't want and never wanted to build something solid. All she wanted was the convenience of having you there, available, without having to reciprocate. And here's the reflection you need to make. If she really wanted you, why disappear the exact moment you ask for something more serious? The answer is painful but liberating, because she never did. So, if you're in this situation, do yourself a favor and break the cycle. Someone who truly values you won't run away when it's time to build something together. They'll stay, talk, and want to. Her disappearance is a disguised favor. Use this chance to cut the dead weight and make room for someone who truly deserves you. How to break free from this toxic cycle. Knowing how to identify the problem is great, but staying stuck is like receiving a survival manual and using it to balance a wobbly table. So, if you've made it this far, congratulations. The first step is already taken. Now it's time to break the cycle that's draining your self-esteem, your time, and your patience. Here's the plan. Recognize the signs and accept reality. No more self-deception, okay? If more than one of these signs has knocked on your door, it's more than time to accept that this person isn't even close to being truly interested. And before you start making excuses, oh, maybe it's just a phase. Stop. The problem isn't you. The problem is her insecurities and ego. But guess what? The solution is your responsibility. Accepting the truth is the starting point to reclaiming control of your life. Set clear boundaries always available. Answering at the first ring? Rushing to save her day? Enough is enough, right? If she only remembers you when she needs something, start not being there. It's not revenge, it's self-respect. Don't respond impulsively. Stop giving your attention to someone who doesn't even deserve a good morning. Someone who truly cares will respect your boundaries. And those who don't, great, let them disappear. That's emotional cleansing. Invest in yourself. All the time and energy you're spending solving her problems could and should be used to improve your own life. Remember, you are the priority, not anyone's backup plan. Focus on your goals, your hobbies, the friends who genuinely care, and of course, make room to meet new people. The stronger you become, the less space there is for emotional leeches. Never forget, you are the prize. This is the most important thing. You're not here to beg for attention or plead for scraps of affection. If she doesn't recognize your value, the exit door is always open for her, of course. You deserve someone who wants to build something real, someone who respects you, celebrates your achievements, and is present through the highs and lows. And if that person isn't her, perfect. Less anchor in your life. Now that you've grasped the 5 signs and understood how to break free from this toxic cycle, there's only one question left. What are you going to do from here on out? Are you going to keep being someone's emotional trampoline, used only when it's convenient for them? Or are you finally going to prioritize someone who truly values you? The signs are glaring, shining like neon signs. She only reaches out when things are bad, uses compliments to keep you hooked, gets annoyed when you pay attention to someone else, ignores your achievements, and disappears when you ask for something serious. Spoiler: none of this is about you. It's all about her inflated ego and her convenience. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to stick with this predictable soap opera full of twists and turns, or are you going to close this chapter once and for all? Leave a comment below telling us which of these signs you've already identified in your life. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Because in the next video, I'll teach you how to flip the script. You'll learn how to make anyone realize too late what they lost when you walked out of their story. Until then, remember, you weren't made to accept emotional crumbs. You deserve a full feast, and with people who know your worth.